I pulled a gun up, and he was walking. And I shot through the spruces, and he just spun around and bounded like 3 times and stopped, facing directly away from me. And I mean, I'm a pretty good shot. I go, oh shit, shit. So I shot him, gave him a Texas heart shot, and he ran off like nothing happened. And I'm like, oh my, there's no way I just messed this up, So I called Woody. I go, just shot at a big buck. I go, I think I hit him, but I'm not sure, So I walked down there. Now the rain's picking up the whole time.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Northwoods Whitetails Podcast. We're sitting down here at Huntstock, Westminster, Massachusetts, with Eric Boek from ADK Cowboys?
Adirondack Cowboys.
Adirondack
ADK Cowboys. Yep.
Okay. They just changed recently, right?
Just changed,
okay.
Yeah.
How's it going? And Travis Williams.
I'm here hanging out.
Yep.
It's a privilege to sit down with Eric.
Yeah, we're counting down the days in November.
Count down the days.
Can't wait.
Won't be long.
Won't be
Summer's
long.
flying by.
Yes, it is. Now, when you guys go into a hunting season, do you do a lot of like preseason scouting, or do you rely on like historical stuff that you just know of?
No preseason scouting. Just go in the woods. Our preseason scouting is when muzzleloader season opens.
Okay.
So we go in the woods, and we'll put some cameras out. Most of the time, we're retrieving the cameras we put out last year, and we never checked. So go in there, get our cameras, check them out, look for new sign. Usually it's too early for any sign. And just to get your, calm yourself because you've been waiting all year for it. So,
yeah, that seems like a common thing that I hear from the guys in the Adirondacks, just because things change so much from year to year out there. It seems like you guys don't really do a lot of preseason scouting. You just kind of do your scouting when the season starts.
Right.
And you just find where they're at, and then you hunt them.
Yep.
Do you guys do a lot of remote tent?
Yes.
Types
Yep.
You do
yeah,
hot
we have
tents?
a couple. We have one teepee that we use quite a bit, Fitz and I, and then Bob and Woody and I have another remote setup that's 7-8 miles in the woods, and
wow.
We use that as often as we can. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
Now, will you guys move that from year to year, or is that kind of always in the same general spot?
Same area. We'll move it slightly. This year we have a beech nut year, so we may move a little bit. We may not. We may leave it there.
That must be part of the adventure for you, just the hike in, the hike out. That,
right.
I mean, because you kill a buck back there, you're 7-8 miles back to get to where your tent is, and then you're probably going
3-4 miles from there.
Wow.
So at least on an average day,
So like if you guys kill a buck, which you guys do a lot of, you hang them back at camp, and then take them out, or will you just get them right out?
Yeah, no, I guess it depends. Good snow, we'll probably, and if I shoot a buck, we'll leave it there and keep hunting, If it's bare ground, we might try to get it out of there.
Yeah.
Right.
All depends.
Okay. I've always wanted to do the hot tent stuff. Just, I feel like a lot of the areas that we hunt, it's not even really big enough to even consider doing that. Because the stuff that you guys are hunting is just so vast, so you can get so deep. Mm-hmm. I just heard on another podcast somebody was saying that Maine was the last frontier of the East, and I was like, it's the Adirondacks.
Yeah.
Out there, especially on the western side, that stuff is just freaking, it's endless.
Big.
Yep.
Endless. Like 100,000 chunk is pretty common, right? Without roads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Miles.
Like 20 miles through. And
Yep.
I feel like the amount of bucks that live and die and probably never even, I'm sure a lot of them see people because they probably migrate out, don't they?
So they come out to, you hear the thing where the buck's probably never seen a human. Well,
right.
Traditionally, a lot of times they come out of the woods for winter.
Yeah.
Maybe not when they're big enough to survive in an area.
Right.
All winter, but when they're young, I believe they all come out. So they've seen human. They know it's bad.
Yeah.
Especially if you got, Hunter Bob on your track, you're going to run.
Yep.
So, yeah. No.
Now, will you guys primarily track when you get the snow?
Yes. If that's how we're hunting. That's our preferred method of hunting is tracking. But if we don't have snow, we're still hunting.
Gotcha.
We're not going to wait for snow, and we've been pretty successful on bare ground. So
you're not doing a lot of sitting?
no sitting at all.
No sitting?
None.
You could sit a long time out there, couldn't you, and not see a deer?
No, I can't sit a long time at all.
Yeah.
I
think that's
have
what,
trouble finishing my sandwich.
I think that's a common, you just said two things. One, you don't do a lot of scouting, and I think that's a very common commonality with trackers. Myself, I don't do a lot of scouting, almost none. Most of my scouting's with my either my pump or my muzzleloader in my hand. And then that sense of adventure, and then the sense of, like, I can't sit still, I'm fidgeting right now,
Right,
I got to see what's over that next ridge, and I think that's a commonality all us trackers have.
Mm-hmm.
What's your average day in the woods, mile-wise? Like, how many miles?
Average, probably maybe 8, 9-ish, something like that. Last year, our first week of season was super mild. There was a couple days I was 12, 14 miles. But then once you get that snow on, you're slowing down, you're not covering that ground. You may only track 6 miles or something. But,
Right.
I'd say 8, 9-ish.
So when you guys hike back there, so you hike back to your camp, are you there for a week, 2 weeks?
No, we're usually, like, the teepee there Fitz and I go to, it might be 3 or 4 days. I would say that's a normal.
Then you come out for a
amount of
couple.
time. Yeah.
Shower.
So, maybe hunt somewhere else.
Yeah.
So.
Now, do you want to talk a little bit about, like, your utilization of water? Because I've seen on some of your YouTube videos, you guys really like to use water to get deep.
Right. A lot of boat stuff.
And they call them, what do they call them? They call them something, all those drainages.
Oh, you're talking about
And I keep hearing, and I wanted to ask earlier. Flies.
Oh, yeah.
Vly.
And is that Vly?
VLY. Yeah.
Vly.
Vly.
Yeah.
So what is that? What is a Vly?
Beaver meadow.
Yeah, it's okay. So you know the swamps that we're used to?
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's hard ground. It's like the middle of it has a river that snakes through it, but the edges you can, like, walk right to the. It's like a big field with, like, goldenrod kind of deal.
And the deer must love that.
They do. From what I've. Vlies is where it's at, especially
Right.
the deep ones.
The
'cause it's
edges.
edge.
But
yeah.
does Vly itself mean something other than does it like
must, I don't
stand
know.
for something? I don't know.
My buddy,
Hunter Bob seems to know. He's nodding down there.
my buddy Kevin from the Adirondacks. I recently became friends with him within the last few years, and he started talking about Vly this and Vly that, big buck down. But I'm like, what are you talking about?
That was me.
And he's like, it's like a big field with a river that goes through it. And until I hunted that country, I'd never seen anything like it. Because where we're from, you're not walking through the swamp.
Right.
No, you're avoiding that
You're
thing.
avoiding it. And the deer will go through it, but, like, you just can't because it's deep and.
But we all do.
Oh, yeah.
Because we can get through this. I see some light up there. Looks
Yeah.
like it's going to get better. And next thing you know, you're like, I should have turned around 15 minutes
like
ago.
Frogger. You have, like, the little, right
Right to my
claw.
nipples.
grass.
Right to my nipples so many
Yeah.
times. It's like, how did I do this again? I'm 45 years old. I should know better by now. But
Yep. And they'll change, too. It may be a 12-foot wide river, creek, brook, whatever you want to call it, crick, as we call them, running through the middle, and the beavers will get in there the next year and dam it up, and then you won't even be able to cross it. You'll have to, trek another half a mile or whatnot.
Turns into, like, a lake.
It change. Yeah, they'll dam it right up.
Do you guys do a lot of brookie fishing out your way?
No, I don't have time.
You don't have time,
No.
yeah. I just think it'd be so good out there because those rivers are big and they go forever. And they're just untouched.
Yeah, I
you
bet
gotta
you it's
have big trout in them.
There is big trout, I think, but our pH in our water is so screwed up. It doesn't. It's not good for habitat, for life in general, from acid rain. So.
From acid rain. Is that coming out from, like, Buffalo?
Like,
and
I think, don't quote me, but I'm thinking Ohio, Cincinnati,
Ohio.
something. Yeah. So
just coming
That's too
across.
bad.
right.
I know you guys
So-
definitely get the snow more than we do in the Northeast.
Yep.
You guys get pounded.
Yes, we do.
so you use that water, those water drainages to get yourself back into.
Yeah, we got canoes all over the place. We don't tell the state about that, but and I got a little 16-foot fishing boat that was my grandfather's that he fished in, and we ended up converting that more into a hunting boat, and we take that all over the place, save us time and get in places where no one else can hunt.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Is that so from what I've seen in the Adirondacks, I've tried it a few times. I haven't killed a buck over there yet, but from what I can see, the depth of what you hunt is definitely the key from what I've seen. Is that something that you would agree with?
We call it the 3 mile mark.
Yeah.
I like to be in 3 miles, but at the same time, there's a lot of bucks right by the road too that get overlooked, I think.
Sure. Sure.
But I just don't want to hear cars, people, so I like going in.
Yep.
So
I think not as many guys are going to go 3 miles.
Right.
Right.
But when I was over there, I noticed the boot track stopped at the first ridge. So if you go up the first one, it might be like not a big mountain, but just once you started going back over the first one, that's where you lost everybody, it seemed like. But, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It'd make it a lot harder to get one out. Do you guys pack a lot of deer out, or do you drag?
I've never actually packed one out. Fitz, he's packed one out of our teepee by himself more than once. But we always drag. We enter like local buck contests for the weight and stuff.
Okay.
So we'll do whatever it takes to drag it out whole, and so we can weigh it just to enter. It's
They still
like
let
a
you
friendship.
guys. They still let you guys in those contests.
Yeah, here and there.
I see some familiar
Dwindling.
faces down here from the YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's dwindling.
That's cool.
So.
What are the bucks weighing up in your area? Do you get the 200 mark much, or
Not often.
Not
no.
often.
Average buck maybe 155 to 165.
no kidding?
Yeah, average.
See, that's so funny. You think with the amount of snow you guys get that the bucks would weigh up.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just we were talking about it earlier. I think it's the mountains. And you look in the mountains like where, you killed your buck and I've killed some. You get a 200-pounder in that region, you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Just north of there when you get into that, the logging habitat and that more of that, northern, it's less mountainous. I just think the bucks can't keep the weight on because they're chasing does up and over those big mountains.
Right, so you're saying in the mountain. But where you guys hunt, it's not super mountain. Like it's
It depends. I mean, we hunt a lot of different areas. We hunt big mountains. We hunt more rolling stuff. There's just no food. There's.
Oh, okay, so it's a lack of habitat.
Yes, I mean,
okay.
so this year they're going
Right.
to be fat and happy because we have beech nuts. There's some acorns. Not where we do most of our hunting, but there is acorns. Last year there was nothing in the woods. The deer were eating fern roots, mushrooms, stuff like that.
Hemlock.
So, yeah, and
See
I don't
that
think.
stuff?
I think that's maybe has something to do with them not weighing a lot as well.
Right, yeah. If a lot of that country that you hunted got cut hard, they'd probably weigh well over 200 pounds.
Right.
And I mean,
Yeah, you just think about those big hardwoods like in the White Mountains and where they hunt.
yeah.
Unless there's a mass crop, there's no food. I mean,
Right.
there's food, but it's not food like we think of.
I know.
Like, you go to the Maine and you see those big cuts. I mean, that's like the grocery store. And there's just food everywhere.
Right.
I'm wondering because the old theory, and a lot of guys will say that the farther north you go in the Northeast, the heavier the bucks will get. But I wonder if it's more so all about the habitat and not so much as the farther north you get, because if you think about it, the North Country's where all the chopping happens.
Right.
And it seems like even down south, if there's areas that have a lot of cutting, the bucks way up. So I wonder if it is more to do with habitat and feed.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's, survival of the fittest. The big ones live because,
Right.
in the snow.
Right.
But then I think, because if you look at the frame, I mean, just look at the heads on the deer they brought. They're mature, big deer.
Right.
They're just not weighing up.
Right.
Because they just don't have the fat and the length probably, but big deer anyway.
Yeah.
Let's kill a buck.
Yeah.
Which one, which story do you want to tell?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You got a lot of them.
stands out.
I kind of like the one you were telling me earlier about when you first met your wife and you had to ride the bike 6 miles back.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, I can tell that. So my buddy Squirrel I went to college with, he's got a camp up in the Adirondacks, and I had been hunting all day and came home. Of course, coming out of the woods, you get cell service, and so the phone's going off, and so Squirrel's mom, we call her Hot Ta, she gives me a call. She says, Boek, she goes, Squirrel just shot a huge buck. Uncle Pete says it's the biggest one, they've ever killed at camp in years. And I'm like, oh, man, I got to get up there, right? So my wife and I had started dating that year, and we started dating in May. And, it's all lovey-dovey honeymoon stage. And I said, well, this is going to end rapidly once October rolls around, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she's like, well, why? She's like, well, I deer hunt. She goes, oh, I like hunting this and that. I'm like, I don't think you understand the extent I take this to.
Yeah.
So she was kind of learning that. So I come home, and I'm changing my clothes quick. And she's like, well, where are you going? I said, well, Squirrel shot a big buck. I go, I got to go. She's like, you just got home. And I'm like, I understand that, but I got to get up there. I guess it's really big. And she's kind of sour. So you can't drive to his camp. So I throw my mountain bike, not an e-bike, a mountain bike in the back of the truck.
You actually have to pedal that
Yes,
one. Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
So I drive to his gate, and I picked up a 18-pack of beer. So I got my headlamp on, and I got the beer sitting on the tube of the frame of my bike.
Bush lattes?
At that time, that could have been Old Mill, to be honest with you. Real high quality.
Yeah,
Old
good
Mill.
stuff. Old Milwaukee.
Potentially even Jenny Light.
Good stuff.
I'm not
Gotcha.
sure.
Jenny Light.
Cream Ale?
Wow.
It was something good.
Dang.
Good stuff.
I mean, we were going to celebrate. So,
Okay.
So I'm riding my bike in, clank over the rocks and stuff, and to get to his camp, it's kind of almost a bit of a U-turn to get in his driveway. So when I'm near the end of the driveway, I can see people out at the buck pole with headlamps, and they're all looking up at the buck. And so here I come cranking down the driveway, my chain's clanking around and everything, and all of a sudden all the headlamps start looking up the driveway, and here I come in and do a little, skid on my bike with my 18-pack, and they're like, "What are you doing here?" Because they didn't know I knew this was before cell phones.
Right.
I go, "Oh, your mom called me," so we proceeded to party the whole night, and I made it home the next day, and my wife is, not too happy about that, but. Now she's just numb to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's just normal. So
Yeah, I think we've all had those moments. I remember when I first met my wife, it was eerily similar conversation. Like, so just I'm a big hunter. She's like, "Oh, that's cool. My grandfather hunted," and I'm like, "No.
Yeah, you
Not
don't
like
understand.
that. Like
yeah.
I probably think about it at least 16 times a day, and I take the whole month off, and you will not see me unless you want to get into hunting."
Right.
So
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
a sickness.
if you're really into it, and you're a younger man and you're dating, you're gonna find out if they want to stick
if
around
it's
or
wife
not.
material.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it
Yeah,
is.
that's it. Because I broke up with a lot of girls right around that October time.
Right.
Oh, my dad always used to joke.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "So I haven't seen, Lindsay around lately. What happened?" I'm like, "Well, it's October, Dad."
Yeah. Yeah.
She's going to be calling me at hunting camp. I'm
Yeah.
going to have to listen to you guys ragging on me.
Right.
I'll take her temperature in December and see if she still wants to date. But right now, we're taking a break.
Yeah, that's too funny. I'm sure a lot of guys listening to this can relate.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's something not talked about much, but it's like, man, you have to find a pretty good woman to put up with you.
We're very lucky.
When you
we're very lucky.
like to hunt as much as we do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it's good to
Struck
be.
gold.
What's that?
I said I struck gold with that one.
Yeah, right. I did too with my
Yeah.
wife. I feel like it's good though to be that passionate about something. I feel
Yeah.
bad for guys that don't have that thing
Right.
that like to push towards. Because if you don't, like, what's it even?
I couldn't even
for?
imagine. I couldn't imagine, like, the drive,
Yeah.
the dedication. It's what pushes you, and
Yeah.
I think that's also what probably our wives see in us is that we're passionate not just
Right.
about hunting, because I think if you're passionate about something, you're most likely
Right.
passionate about life in
Yes.
general. So
Right. Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm the kind of guy when I do something I'm like all in.
Right.
Like
Yep.
all in. So
You have a hard time doing things you don't like, probably.
yeah,
That's the
I
way
mean,
I
a
am.
little bit. Yeah.
If I don't like it, I don't want to do it
Yeah.
at all. Like
Yeah.
high school was tough.
Yeah.
one question I always want to ask when I'm like watching these YouTube things is like, because I know I have a particular style when I'm tracking, and I'd love to hear like, and maybe you can talk about like Hunter Bob and these other guys like Woody and these guys like, would you say you have a style, and would you say it contrasts, or is it similar?
I think we track pretty much alike, really. I think Bob has obviously the most experience, and I mean he'll tell you these stories where he tries circling them and this, and I'll do that to an extent if the wind isn't right, but we're all about the same. I mean we go, and so we're normally hunting in the general area of each other, so if we can reach each other on the radio, we'll kind of be like, heading this way or something. And if we don't have something going on, another guy that's hunting will just stay in the area in case something happens,
Sure.
so we can help out or whatnot. But, yeah, very similar styles. I mean, and it's nothing spectacular. It's just tracking a buck, and when it's time to slow down, trying to get slow enough to seal the deal, So
when you first pick them up, you're just trying to gain time on them,
yeah,
motoring?
if that's the case, I mean, unless it's a smoking fresh track, then
And he's feeding.
right, yeah. So, and if it's old, then you're covering ground, trying to, we're going to make something happen. So,
Right.
yeah.
Now tell me this: when you're hunting 9 miles from the road, are those bucks even afraid of you? Don't lie to me.
Yeah.
Are they? Dang.
Yeah.
I feel like they would just be like, oh, look.
Yeah.
No, I well, you can see where I would think that, right? Because I've never tracked a buck 9 miles off the road. I can only,
They're bucky.
think about what it would. They're bucky still, yeah.
I think they're more bucky.
No, I like
No
to ask
kidding.
that question
Yeah.
about
Well,
style
even
because
more hockey.
everybody I feel like has a style, and like for me, I'll jump on a track unless it's so blatantly obvious that buck's going to lay down. I don't even feel like I'm in the game until I've jumped him. And I hear a lot of guys talk, and they're all about killing them in that first bet, which obviously I'd love to do, and I have done on a lot of occasions, but I feel like I have wasted more time on a buck track because, he started to feed a little bit. He's meandering. He's going to lay down. So then I start, slowing down, and then he smells a doe, dumps off that knob, and he walks another 3 miles.
Right.
So my particular style, and I've kind of done this probably more in the last decade than anything, is I just go. Again, unless he pretty much writes in the snow, I am going to bed.
Right.
I just go. And if I jump him, awesome. Now I'm in the game. Now we're going to start, I give him the 30 minutes. I do a lot like you, Isaac. I can't sit still, so I'll go backtrack on him or go look in his bed. I can't just sit there. And
You don't like jumping, you like getting them in the bed?
yeah, see,
Or
and
when they
I don't know
stand
if, and I don't know if it's a
Yeah.
and I don't know if
That's
it's
the
a
key.
region thing, but like for a lot of the bucks that I track, sometimes they don't feed. I've had bucks that's chasing a doe. They're going. Both of them are running. Bed.
Yep.
No indication.
Open
Nothing.
hardwoods.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
open
in the hardwoods.
hardwoods, yeah, for sure.
No knob, no nothing. Then
Right.
you have one. I tracked a buck 4 years ago. I jumped him 5 times, and he would. And I feel this too. I feel like the bucks, their first bet is their best bet because they have not been pressured.
Right.
They're looking. How many times you've been tracking one? And they go up on a knob, and you see them. They look around. They feed a little, and then they dump off the knob, and they go up on the next knob. They're looking for a place to lay
Right.
down.
Yep. Right.
Right, but I've done that, and I've gone slow, and then it's like I'm running out of daylight
Right.
here.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and he does it 6 times.
So what you're saying is you like to get them up, and then
Then I know I'm on them,
Then you know.
right? And almost all the time, they're going to go, if they smell you and see you, you're in trouble, right? But they usually only hear you, and they don't go far. They go 50,
Right.
60 yards.
Yep.
They stand there. You don't come. They go back to doing, if they're betting, they want to bet again.
Right.
If they were chasing does, they're going to go chase does again. And then that's when I see him feed. That's when I see him meander, and I put it into death creep mode.
Right.
And I usually get them on the second try, and I feel like they don't bet as good.
Yeah,
Their
because
second bet is sometimes not
or
as.
they're vulnerable.
Yeah, they don't want to waste time looking for
Yeah.
a bed. They're trying to figure out what's behind them.
Right. I always like to hear other people's thoughts on that.
I personally think the longer you can give a buck after you jump them, the better. I know you guys probably can't relate to this much, but if I'm within a mile of a road and it's early enough, I'll even buzz out of there and go check something else. I'll even do a mile loop somewhere else down the road, and then I'll come back 2 or 3 hours later. And then it just seems like maybe my favorite thing ever is to get on a buck that's gotten up in the afternoon, and they're kind of taking it easy,
Right.
and you shoot them, and they're not looking for you, but I guess it's all situational. But that's my favorite personally. If I can jump one, give them 3 hours or something, come back in the afternoon, take him for a while. Oh, this is where he bedded. Now he's up for the night, and he's walking away from me. If I can put on enough time on him,
That makes sense.
yeah. I've done that a few times, but it's also situational to where you hunt, because if you're 9 miles from the road, you can't really buzz out real quick and
Right.
get into a new piece. But
Yep.
it's all situational.
Yep.
It's fun to talk about. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just going to say that earlier, but bucks must live by that water out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So the people that can't hear, Hunter Bob's in the audience right now, and he's saying that when they cross water, you better be ready because that's that like safety barrier. And it's funny, in the North Country where we hunt, where there's a lot of cuts, it's the same way. Like if you put a buck through a cut
Yep.
and there's some thick green growth on the other side,
Yep.
you better have your head up and ready because he's going to be there.
Right.
If they cross a road, any type of transition,
Yeah, barrier. Yeah.
you need to be ready. And I'm sure water, and I've experienced that too. with-
Beach whips, jack
Yep.
furs, like just anything like that you have to like bull your way through, and he can just hear you making a racket. he's gone.
Yep.
They're smart.
Oh,
They
yeah.
get chased by a lot of predators, so they get smart. They get smart
Yeah.
fast. So
We're probably the dumbest of the predators that chase them, honestly.
we have the most. we have all the tools. We don't need to be smart.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I don't know. If I was a deer, I'd rather have a guy chase me than a pack of coyotes. I
True.
feel like a pack of coyotes are a little more mean than I am, I guess. But they have to eat.
I'd rather die fast.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, Mother Nature's cruel.
So what's the heaviest buck you've shot in the Adirondacks, Eric?
201.
So you have that's a big buck.
Yep.
It's a big buck anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a fun one to get out.
I bet.
Did you track him?
No, bare ground.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh,
just luck. Woody and I were hunting together, and I found a bunch of fresh scrapes, and they kind of went up a valley. So I just walked up the valley and got to the top, and to my left there was a knob, maybe another 100 foot or so, and beyond it there was a little saddle. And I had talked to him. It's one of those things where in the Adirondacks, we're about half through our day, so we kind of got to start thinking about getting back towards the road in our truck or something. So I said, well, I'll go up to the top of that knob and just hang out, because we were going to turn back and go the other way. And I went up there and I just stood there for 2 or 3 minutes, and I was just getting ready to take off walking again. It was raining out, and I had my gun, I think, sitting like on my boot, and I picked my gun up and I just started to maybe I took a step, I'm not even sure, and I saw something move, and like 30 yards away, here's this buck, and I'm like, he just materialized. I don't know if he could have been standing there the whole time I was standing there, or if he just walked up through the spruces and I didn't see him, but just happened to catch him. So I pulled a gun up, and he was walking. I shot through the spruces, and he just spun around and bounded like 3 times and stopped, facing directly away from me. And I mean, I'm a pretty good shot. I go, oh shit. So I shot him, gave him a Texas heart shot, and he ran off like nothing happened. And I'm like, oh my, there's no way I just messed this up, So I called Woody. I go, just shot at a big buck. I go, I think I hit him, but I'm not sure, So I walk down there. Now the rain's picking up the whole time, and I find some blood and stuff, and he's running, but there's nothing in his cadence that's showing me that he's swinging a leg or something's broken, and the blood was splashing out a little bit. But so I waited for Woody, and Woody comes up, and we're standing by this kind of big rock, if I remember right. And I've been through this before, where you shoot a buck like that, and if you don't break that femur, it's like off to the races. And I mean, you don't know where you're going to end up. So I'm thinking Woody may have to go out to the other way and pick me up at another road 4 miles away, because I'm going to take him until dark, and that's going to be my easiest avenue out. So, okay, we figured out a plan. Let's track him a little bit. So we started tracking him, and all of a sudden he jumped right up. Woody's like, there he is, and he was bedded probably 30, 40 yards from us that whole time. And I broke his femur, and he hopped up and hit him again. And so he was 201. We thought we were doing good, because we were thinking 2.5 miles out. It was kind of a little bit downhill. Well, the rain turned to slush, and we were soaking wet. I mean, running right down into your boots. I broke my gun and just dragging, and I got to a high spot, and I was able to text Chris, and I told him we got one down. He goes, oh, you need help? I said, no, we're all set. We'll have him out in a couple hours. That would have been more than it would have taken them longer to get to us to help us. Well, about hour 3, I'm like, man, and I've told Woody, I'm like, I've about had enough. He's like, we're right there, man. He's like, half a mile. I'm like, all right. So we kept going, dragged him across the brook, got him to the Jeep, and I was whooped. But yeah, that was the heaviest one, 201.
How many miles was it?
That was only a 3.5 mile drag.
Only 3.5.
Well,
Now,
that's a good one for us.
can you tell me something? How good did the beer taste when you got back to that race?
That was pretty
It's the
good.
best.
They taste pretty good after you drag like that.
I think I only had 1.5.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So,
Come on.
yeah.
Come on.
I had one
1.5
like
cases.
that. It wasn't that far. It was only like 2.5 miles, but I shot it at like 2:30. It was the year Adeline was born, so it was 2019. It was the last day of May, and it was an 8-pointer. Only weighed like 181, but
Only.
it was a fun hunt. I mean, finally got snow, finally got the conditions, found this buck track. There was a bigger buck that I'd been tracking, but I kind of split off of him and found this other one, and I'm like, this one's smoking fresh. So I'm not going to bore you with the whole story, but anyway, I ended up shooting him, and it was 2.5 mile drag, slightly uphill, and I had a buddy with me, and I'm like, let's take some pictures, let's take a video, and he's like, Travis, we're 2.5 miles from the truck, and it's all uphill. I'm useless. My knees hurt. I'm 55 years old. Whatever he was, Greg. He's a riot. But I don't know about you guys, but those memories are the ones that I remember the most.
Yep.
The pain. It's almost like the suffrage. Ranello talks about it a lot. You know, the pain and the suffrage is what you remember.
Right.
If it's a quarter-mile drag, you don't
really
remember.
think about it.
It's not as meaningful.
Yep.
Yeah, they're for me, it's the best memories is the drag.
Right.
Like I had one a few years ago, 7.5 hours.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of my buddies came to help, my father-in-law being one of them. And it was just, one of those things I'll never forget the rest of my life. It's like you think you can do so much, and then you get to a point, and then you go even more, and it's like, man, I can do more than I think I can.
Bush latte.
Yeah. It's good for perspective, too,
deliciousness.
Yeah, no, it's I think Donito says it in some of his stuff. Like, what would you rather be doing right now?
At that time, yeah.
At that moment in time, you're doing the thing that you wanted to do. So
I think it limits a lot of people. It limits them where they hunt. They're worried about the drag before they pull the trigger.
Right.
Because I've had the thought before, going down into some big gnarly canyon off the back of some big mountain. I just went over and I'm like, boy,
well, I'll tell you,
I'm going to be screwed. But it's like you just go, and if you kill one, you kill one. You figure it out.
Just talking to these guys today, I'm like, I got some spots I might venture back into that I might have to call you for a carry out. How many bucks have you carried out on your back? I've heard some stories about that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He's a big guy too. I don't know if you guys ever met him.
Quite
but he's
a few.
big dude.
You play football?
No, rugby.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The real football.
Yeah.
Real football.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's the real man sport.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's good to be bigger than the deer when you're carrying them out.
Yeah.
That's sometimes I have that issue where it's like kind of like the deer.
Yeah, the 199 pounder I shot with a muzzleloader, I carried him for a while, and that was tough. We had a deer cart coming in, and I was thankful to have the deer cart. So I don't think, like I said, our average buck's 165. I can carry a 165-pound buck probably 3/4 of a mile without taking a break, and then I'll kind of lean up against a tree or something. But them 200-pounders, that 40 pounds makes a lot of difference. So,
You get a lot of calls in the fall, don't you?
For what?
Help dragging and carrying bucks.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
Come on out here. Yeah, hopefully. That's right. That's the way I am, too. It's that's the best part. Yeah. So, we're about a half an hour in. Do we have an hour? We have an hour. Okay. All right. Just making sure on time here.
Yep.
So, have you hunted anywhere else in the Northeast or
Maine.
just Maine?
Yep.
How'd you do up there?
I haven't killed one up there yet. I had a real close call last year, late muzzleloader, on an old track we found on the road, and actually somebody had gotten out and looked at it and walked away, and I'm like, that's big enough for me, because I'm from the Adirondack. So so me and Hunter Bob and Woody were up there, and I took off on deer. He went up through some clear cuts and whatnot, and right to the top of the biggest mountain, and he fed just a touch, rubbed a couple small trees, and got up in the tops of the mountains where it's so thick, and so he didn't, he was a day old. So I finally walk up onto one of his beds, and I know it's frozen solid, but I'm still going to get down and touch it just to verify. And I was just squatting down to touch this bed, and what he had done is he had bedded there, and then he got up and he walked around the top of the mountain and fed a little bit and came back and bedded about 20 yards away. So he was directly to my left. So when I started bending down to touch that bed, he took off, and I can't make it up, but he made like a grunt. It was not like a grunt like tending a doe, but like the movement of his body caused him to go like that, and it startled me. And I look over, and he just went right up this rock face and was gone. I never saw his rack, but he was a big deer, So we ran him around the mountain there the rest of the day and blew him off the backside. Came in the next day and just couldn't make it happen. Our snow, we had decent snow that day, and then it froze up tight after that, so it started to rain.
What did you think of hunting Maine compared to the areas that you hunt in the ADKs?
I like it. I'm going to shoot one there someday, but, it's all them roads and the people driving around.
Yeah.
I'm honestly, what I'm going to do is hunt Maine just like I hunt the Adirondacks. I'm just going to pick a mountain or a spot, and I'm going to go because I think we'd be successful doing that, you know, instead of I'm not going to waste time driving around roads trying to find a fresh track. So.
Yeah, I always struggle with that myself, like especially when you go up into northern Maine. When you get up to like Jackman, Allegheny, like north, I mean, it is so gridded that I struggle with, like, you're driving these roads, and these bucks, man, they have been tracked, you know, and they don't cross roads. They have ways around these roads unless they get bumped. So to your point, I find a lot of times, you know, strike off on like a class 6 road or a ridge top that you can get out and just look for a track, because I have more success. I mean, I'll try and find from the road, especially for, before light. Like, I'll get up early if you have the conditions, if it's what I call a kill day, and I'll spend a couple hours of windshield time looking for one. And I've killed bucks picking them up from the road, and I've had a lot of fun days picking them up from the road. But I find, if you get off the beaten path, you're going to pick one up, especially if you put on enough miles.
Right. Yeah.
If a big buck in Maine likes to cross the road, chances are he's not going to live very long.
Right.
That's why you get back in there a little ways, you probably find one that, he knows the gig.
Yeah. Them bucks aren't crossing the road every single day.
No.
So.
Yeah, I know in Vermont and a lot of the bigger pieces that I hunt, I've seen them parallel a road for like a mile to go around the end of a dead end. Because they know, it's they do it. They're not stupid.
The place where I killed my last 2 bucks in Maine, there's a road that goes out and it dead ends. And I'll tell you, if you're a stand hunter, you sit at the end of that dead end road, there is a beat down run going both ways.
Where they go.
They go around it, just like you just said.
Yeah.
That is like we're past the road. Here we go. And we're going to go up on the ridge.
Yeah. A lot of people don't get out of the rigs.
Yep.
I know I just talked about it on a previous podcast. I like hunting Maine for the fact that I can always hitchhike my way back to my rig.
Yeah.
Right.
No matter how far away I get, you come out to the road and throw a thumb up, and some good old boy will pick you up.
What's funny
bring
is
you back.
my 21 buck. So I shot him. I brought him down to this road. I looked on Onyx, and I'm like, oh, there's a road down there, Dad. So my dad was with me as usual, and he's like, well, I'll head back. It was like 3 miles back to the truck. Would have been a horrible drag. It was like side hilling the side of this mountain the whole way. And he's like, and then I'll just drive around and get you. So I think it was like 2:30 again when I shot him. So I probably started dragging at 3. I mean, like 4 o'clock, I was standing in the road. But it was cold and snowy and blowing, and I wear no clothes. I like my Johnson Jack shirt on. I'm freezing.
Right.
So I'm just going to drag him down the road. Dude, I dragged that buck for like 4 miles down the road just because I was bored.
You're cold, yeah.
My dad ended up talking to some guy for 15 minutes at the rig or more. He said 15, probably 45. And then he had to drive all the way around the mountain. It was 12 miles around to come get me. I didn't see one vehicle.
Nice.
Which I was kind of glad because he was a pretty good buck. And I'm like, I don't need everybody seeing this thing right here. Probably figure out where I got him.
Yeah.
But
people love to go in where you shoot deer.
it's crazy.
Isn't
I mean,
that
I
something?
get it. You see a big buck.
I guess.
There's big bucks everywhere.
He's dead.
Yeah, right. He's not there anymore.
Yeah, he's
there
dead,
now.
man.
Big Buck has left the chat.
Yeah, that's funny. Have you guys hunted much in the High Peaks region in the Adirondacks?
Not a lot. I was up in there a bit during when I went to college up there, but I haven't been back since. Yeah, more south than that.
Right. Yeah,
So-
I've been around in that High Peaks region. I love that country.
Yep.
It's so I feel like it's so untouched. I feel like it's
Yes.
probably the lowest deer density
Absolutely.
in the
I would
entire
think.
Northeast, probably because it's those big pointy mountains and there's no cuts. So
Right.
if that was New Hampshire or Maine and there was cutting going on, there'd probably be some true giants. But
Right.
I've heard of some big ones coming from the
Yep,
High Peaks region.
absolutely.
Some real heavy ones.
Yep.
And I've tried it, but boy, it's tough. I remember I did a 12-mile loop one day around this big basin on like 3 or 4 day old snow, and I never cut a track.
Wow.
I was like, dang.
I've had experiences like that in northern Maine.
Yeah.
Especially on some bad years. I mean, I have this one hunt I like to do. I hike into Bowmantown, and there's this Class 6 old skidder. It's not a Class 6, or it used to be. It's all, grown up now. And it's a big 6-mile loop, and I did it 2 days. Not a deer track. Not a one. But I'll tell you what, you bump into one in that region, it's usually a good one.
240.
What do you call it? Four-finger
Four-finger
humdinger?
humdinger. That's right.
Yeah. So what got you into tracking? Is it like a family thing? Did your dad track?
Yeah, my dad's a killer. He's killed a ton of bucks. He's got just great big cardboard boxes with racks in them.
No kidding.
So he grew up. He had 2 brothers, and fishing, trapping, hunting, and where I grew up, it wasn't in the Adirondacks. It was more outside farm ground. But we had a massive tract of land that my grandfather owned a farm that bordered to a patch of county land that bordered to I called him my uncle, but he wasn't my uncle. He owned the next farm. Then the next farm was my dad's buddy. They hunted out west all the time. So I had thousands of acres, that we could hunt, and you could track bucks there. And that's where I started learning. And then my dad bought his camp in the Adirondacks, and it was either 90 or 91, and we started hunting up there a lot. And so Woody's uncle, Gary, him and my dad were buddies, and their camps were only 6-8 miles apart, and these guys were killing just huge bucks, and I'm like, man, I want to shoot something like that, And we hunted in the farm ground. I mean, we were shooting the biggest bucks around, but they weren't Adirondack big bucks,
Right.
So that's kind of what I wanted to shoot, those big bucks.
Now, where you're hunting's all public land, right? It's not
100%.
Because I know some of the guys that you hear about, they're hunting on these big leases out there.
Yeah, there's some.
I don't think a lot of people know that, but
right. Yeah, they're not going to disclose it. It's all 100% public land.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you don't have an issue with big tracts of land that you can just go hunt on. There's lots of big public access.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the access is your feet, but
it's endless.
But if you want to go,
yes.
Endless.
Yeah.
I know. I swear, it'll be late at night. I'll be laying in bed and I'll start looking at the map in the Adirondacks, and I'll just get lost, just kind of going through. It's literally endless. You can never. I feel like you couldn't even look at it all in your lifetime on a map.
Right.
It's so much of it.
It's so funny you say that because at work I have a big monitor. It's like a 50-inch monitor. I'm a salesman. I sell boats. So somebody comes in to order a boat. Nowadays, a lot of it's done online. So I'll build the boat with them on the screen. We'll always minimized in the corners Google Earth. Yeah. And I'll literally be like, the guy that works with me is one of my salesmen, a hunter. He hunts with me. And I'll always be like, hey, Craig, you got a minute? I want to show you something. This is important. Shut the door. We got to do 30 minutes of Google Earth. I need this. And it's so relaxing. I zoom in. I'm like, I think I was there once. Ooh, look at that. Look at that finger of fur right there. That's just, boy, that could be money. That's 3 miles back. Let's go check that out next year.
I always do the street view where you can go down and look up to the left and right of the mountains and stuff. And then all the mountain peaks have where you can click on it, and it's like a picture where you can pan around and look.
It's addicting. Like an hour will go by, and I'll be like, oh, maybe we ought to get back to work.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm just kidding, boss man, if you're listening. That's not true.
Yeah. It's something definitely in us.
Yeah.
We're all sick.
Yes.
Oh, and my thing is I don't know if I would be. Actually, I can tell you for certain, I would not be as passionate about hunting if it wasn't for hunting the big woods, and probably tracking. Because basically, my hunting, you got to go hunting. If you've got the day off and it's hunting season, you got to be in the woods. But I'm pretty much just hanging out waiting for snow. Mm-hmm. I'm scouting. I am hunting. If I find a spot that's just pounded with buck sign, I'll go hang out in there. But I can't sit. But the tracking is what just really the sense of adventure. Again, I don't really run cameras. I love the unknown. Mm-hmm. I love that when you pick up a buck track, you have no idea. You're figuring it out as you're going.
Right.
He's laying down sign. You're pursuing him one-on-one in the toughest conditions and the lowest deer densities. And if you successfully harvest a deer under those conditions, it's so rewarding. Yeah. And anybody that's listening that hasn't tried it, you gotta give it a try.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun than anything else, I think.
Well, when you come back in, right, so say you sit in a tree stand, which is nothing wrong with that. Guys kill a lot of big bucks with it, and kudos to you. But your story is, I went and sat in the tree stand. A gray squirrel came by, and I thought I heard a deer.
Yep.
The end. If I don't see a deer, I have a story. And listening to you guys, I got to come hunting with you. Because the canoe ride, I'm sure you guys have flipped some over.
I'm not sure if you want that.
Have you ever flipped over a canoe? You ever had lost a gun on the bottom of the river?
So, no, we haven't. But some of these canoes that Hunter Bob has are I'd rather ride around this beer can. And I am not joking. Because it's the one's a 10, maybe a 10. Is that a 10-footer? It's a 12, but Bob's 250, I'm 250, and we got 3 inches of clearance, and we're crossing a river in the rapids.
Nice.
And I don't like water. So, The fishing boat's not bad. It's a little cold, but yeah.
You ever had any sketchy moments in the airplane?
Well, not as sketchy as the one Bob and Woody had, but I've been nervous a few times. You know? I guess what makes me nervous is when we're taking off in the airplane and Bob's talking to it. Come on, baby, come on, and I'm like, come on now.
Who's the pilot? I missed out on this.
Hunter Bob.
You're the pilot?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they got some stories. They got some stories. We were over there earlier.
I'll have to hear about that.
And he's talking about, like, one time we got snowed in. We couldn't leave the camp. It was 2 days after hunting season. And finally we, like, chiseled off the plane and smeared oil on it. We got out of there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's, to me, like, what you guys get is, like, what we do on steroids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the story. Yeah.
You guys haven't. I mean, just the camping. Like I'm.
Like it's not like we said earlier. It's not about the outcome. It's about the process.
The process.
You know?
How big is the plane you guys use? Is it tiny?
It's a Super Cub.
It's a Super Cub. Good.
Yeah.
You guys have some big balls. I'll tell you. I've been in one of those things before, and it's not fun.
We're gonna have to talk to.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Bob, we'll
crazy.
get you. Well, when we have your Johnson pants made, we'll have them made for the extra big balls.
Big balls.
Little extra ball
you know,
room.
he's carrying them around. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah.
It's interesting.
But yeah, that's just what you guys have is, like you said earlier, it's really the last frontier.
It is.
And I think it's protected, right? Because a lot of that land is.
Yeah.
So that's going to be there forever. So we need to, and I think that people ask me all the time, like, why did you get involved with Northwoods Whitetails? And I said, because it gives me a voice. And I have a story that I want to tell. And the story is, there is another way. Mm-hmm. Like when you turn, and I'm not saying that it's wrong. Mm-hmm. Like when you turn on a hunting show and there's a guy in the Midwest in a tree stand, like that's awesome, right? And they're killing big bucks. But there is another way. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to have a lease. You don't have to run 65 cell phone cameras. You can take your pump gun or your bolt action or whatever it is you use, and you can disappear in the Adirondacks and shoot yourself a nice buck and have a story and a memory that'll last a lifetime.
Right.
I like the culture over there in the Adirondacks too. The hunting culture is like, it's pretty crazy. I went over at like my buddy Kevin's last year, and he's like, all these guys, you got like the different gangs, and there's like 2 gangs like feuding, about like this one ridge and stuff. It's like it's something I've never experienced, and it's cool. Yep. It's really cool. It's unique, I feel like, to the area. Yep. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Guy.
They're saying they have their own mountain.
Exactly,
so I guided a little bit, and I still do for moose hunting in New Hampshire. And one of my clients years ago had a camp, and I think it was in the Adirondacks. And he goes, I ran into an old buck. He goes, I decided to sell my camp. And I said, why? He goes, well, the old buck says, well, you might want to think about selling your camp because those guys up there in the hills, they got to feuding. And then one cabin would burn, and then another cabin would burn.
Yeah. See, that's like the whole. There could be like a Discovery Channel show of like the Adirondack hunters. You guys are nuts, but
instead of wicked tuna, wicked Adirondacks.
Yeah, wicked Adirondack bucks. Yeah.
Hunter Bob took a shot at Hunter Bill last week.
Yeah.
No, you guys are crazy. I like it. It's definitely cool. But I think it comes with the territory. All the big, huge country. I mean, you guys kind of have to be a little twisted to do what you do. I mean, seriously, you do. Yeah, you got to be. Yeah. I mean, this stuff you guys do is awesome. I definitely look up to you guys because, I mean, we just don't have the country to hunt Vermont East. We really don't. It's all cut up with roads. Right. A big chunk's 50,000 acres, maybe 60, 70, but that's about as big as you can find. You guys are hunting like 20 miles by 15 miles. It's like
and if you're lucky, and I know, Isaac, you and I have talked about it, you find a couple gates. Yeah. Because gates, I love gates. Other people are like, oh, man, that road's gated. That sucks. I'm like, no, that's awesome.
That's good, yeah.
Because now the guy that doesn't want to walk 3 or 4 miles, he's not going to be back there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And, I've got buddies, and they're like, where are you going to hunt tomorrow? I heard there's big bucks right down there. Their big buck over here. I said, I don't hunt big bucks. I hunt where I'm not going to see another hunter. Mm-hmm. And if there happens to be a big buck there, awesome.
No.
Right. Once the spot I've been hunting, it's starting to get more pressure for whatever reason, probably not going to go back there.
Right.
If I see a boot track in the woods, and I probably shouldn't be this way because they're just doing the same thing I'm doing, right? They're probably a really good guy. if I bump into him, I'm probably going to make friends.
Right.
But I still hate it. I'm like, just what an a-hole. What's he doing in here? You know?
Do you guys bump into people ever?
Not really. So we were talking about
Yeah,
this
you were
earlier. So I ran into a kid one day. Actually, I'd shot a buck, and this kid was standing there. He's like, "Oh, you got one?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so Bob and Woody are tracking a buck, and they're like, "This buck's coming right up the hill." And I go, "You want to shoot a buck, kid?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, get ready," you know. And honestly, it didn't end up panning out, but I ran into that kid, and then actually when I was, I don't know, I might have been 12, 13 years old. I was hunting with my dad at camp, and I was a couple miles from my camp downstream, and it was a super crunchy day, and I got to this little knob, and I was standing there, and all of a sudden I hear, you know, I could tell it was a man coming at me, and I'm like, what? I'm like, why is my dad over here, you know? So before he got to me, I just gave a whistle out so he would know where I was. Well, the guy comes walking up, and it's not my dad, and I'm like, oh, man. So he says, well, what are you doing in here? And I'm like, well, I'm hunting. He's like, where are you from? I go, my camp's a couple miles up the river. And he goes, oh, and it ended up being, it was Jim Doyle, Jeff Doyle's dad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Small world.
Yeah, ran into him, and then it was maybe that year or year after, we were tracking a buck, and he ended up shooting it. Like,
No kidding.
Yeah, he came in and cut the track, and he killed it. So it was
That's
a nice
crazy.
8-pointer. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
So,
Small world.
right.
Yeah, I mean, you're bound to run into guys that are serious every once in a while.
Yep.
You know? That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I met, what's his name there? The mountain deer?
Rodney
Roman.
Elmer.
Rodney.
Yeah.
I met Rodney. There was a spot that I used to park in New Hampshire, and I'd hike into Maine, and I'd hunt it all day, and I was hiking up out of there, and it's a friggin' hike, and I'm come up over, and there's all these like strip cuts, and there's all these roads, and I look, and there's a guy doing the same thing as I am. I mean, we're booking it because it's getting dark, and I'm going, man, that guy's really flying. So I'm trying to keep up, and he's going faster, and I'm like, anyway, we finally gets to the rig. He's like, man, you walk fast. I was like, no, I was walking faster because you were walking fast. He's like, well, I was trying to beat you out here because I wasn't sure if you'd be able to get around my truck, and it was Rodney.
No kidding.
Yeah, so I'd met him there, and then I was a hunting and fishing guide, and I'd go to all these sporting expos and stuff like that, shows like this.
Yep.
And he ended up having a booth next to me, and I was like, didn't I meet you in the woods? Oh, yeah, you know, so amazing how it's such a small world.
Yep.
That is something. Yeah, I've met a few guys in the woods before, but nobody I ever knew.
I think that's how Joey and Corey Ryder met, actually. Similar situation.
Really?
Yep.
Shed hunting?
Shed hunting or
Yeah.
hunting, you know, just bumped into each other in the woods.
My buddy Connor
Yeah.
Schlong, he's a part of Northwoods. He was scouting a piece of country that I hunt a lot, and he took a bunch of pictures and posted it on Facebook. I messaged him. I was like, I think I know where you're at.
Stay out of there.
There's no deer in there, man.
Then
You're
they got
wasting
to
your
feuding.
time. Yeah. No,
Now
we-
they don't talk anymore.
we became good friends because of it. But it's just kind of funny how that all works.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you hunted Maine.
Yes.
And you've hunted the Adirondacks.
Yep.
But that's it
Yeah, for Northeast.
for the Northeast. Do you think there'll ever be a year where you just dedicate the entire season to Maine?
Yeah, we've already been talking about this year potentially going up.
Yep.
You know, if we don't have snow and they don't have snow, maybe going up there on bare ground, trying to make something happen. But I don't know. We'll see. You know,
Yeah.
we kind of fly by the seat of our pants. Really, it's nothing's really ever planned. So
Wherever you're feeling at the
Right.
time.
Yep.
No, I think it'd be cool if you guys kind of took a whole year and just went north, because I think you guys would do pretty good.
yeah,
If you
Well-
put as much energy into Maine as you do the Adirondacks, I think you guys would
I'm
do
trying
really
to talk
well.
them into having us out there for a little bit of time. Northwoods Whitetails meets the ADK Cowboys for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll take them hunting over here. And
can you guys hunt well hungover?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think this will work out well then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing I used to say is you got to have a few beers at night to give the deer a chance, right?
You got to slow yourself
You got
down.
to slow
in the
yourself a
morning.
little. Yeah. I mean,
I don't know, though, man. I'm getting old. Those mornings when you can... Yeah, those mornings when you're in the woods and you're like, I can still taste the beer. This is going to be a long morning. But
We had a day
Drink a few
last year
brooks.
that I had to tell Woody to stop breathing on me because I was going to puke.
those are good
bad. It
times,
was
though.
bad.
Those are good times.
it's all part of it, though. You know,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the getting flagged for the excessive celebrations never an issue.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I love, you guys do a great job with your channel, and
you do.
I'm glad to finally met Eric in person, but like we talk online and stuff, and I said, man, your channel's great. And he goes, really? He goes, I just started it because people didn't believe that we drag bucks 3, 4, or 5 miles, so I figured I'd start a YouTube channel. And even today, I'm like, how many subscribers do you have? I don't know. I'm like, who runs your channel? He's like, me. So you guys are doing it for the right reasons. Keep it up. I love it. And if you guys, anybody that's listening hasn't checked out their stuff, it's ADK Cowboys on YouTube.
Right.
Got to get you guys set up with some GoPros.
Oh, I hate them things.
Telling you.
It is fun.
It's not as bad as you think, and they're so good now. You can, like, crop way and zoom way in and see stuff just because they're shooting such.
The cool part is, like, we just edited.
Turn them on when something's happening.
Brooke edited my main video, which I didn't get a lot of content because I screwed it all up. But the cool part is, like, you guys have got a great story to tell, and now you're going to tell it through video. And what Isaac's telling you right now is with that over-the-shoulder deal, like, you just hit it and kind of forget it, right? And there's a mode you can set it up in, so it's always recording. So there's a. And I'm going to tell you right now, when you look back on that and you captured that moment, it's something you're going to have forever. Forget everybody else. Obviously it's great to share with your fans, but for yourself, it's great.
I put mine right on my head. I have a strap. I just wear it like on my hat. You can't even feel it. And what I do is, like you were saying, Travis, is there's a way that you can run it all the time.
Right.
But what I do is I just turn it on. There's a way to where all you have to do is click a button and it'll turn on and start recording. So like when I'm tracking and like something interesting's happening, I'll turn it on, kind of explain it or whatever. Or if I see a buck, I'll just turn it on and right. Well, I put mine right on my head, and it doesn't stick up any higher than my hat. It's right here. It's like at the top of my forehead. So it's pretty easy. It's easier than you'd think it would be. And, I think it's really cool to have the shot. It's like the next thing, you know. You guys have always had some really good stuff, but I think it'd be really cool if you started using the GoPros.
Probably ain't going to happen, but maybe.
No?
I don't know.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
There you go. Cell phone holder on your shoulder. That's cool, too. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's been fun doing this, doing the recording stuff. I'm not very good at it. Last year's, my battery was dying. So, I'm like, boop, this is going to be great, man. I'm tracking this buck, and I'm looking up. It's recording. And I go, well, it was only recording for like 6 seconds, and it shut off. So there's a bunch of 6-second clips. Brooke, who's editing our stuff, she's like, Trav, there's like a whole bunch of what do you want me to do with this? I'm like, I don't know. Just do what you can. But she did some sorcery. It actually came out good. We'll be dropping that one soon.
Cool.
All right. Well, this has been great.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah,
Great conversation.
Yeah, we'll
a lot of fun.
Kill some bucks sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to get
I'm
together.
coming. You guys
Watch out. Travis is coming.
dust off a spot. I want to come flop around with you up there in the ADKs.
Yep.
All right, boys.
Sounds good.
See you on the next one.
Bye.